While most Nigerians are focused on the 2027 election, something bigger may already be happening behind the scenes. Inside the National Assembly, politicians have once again raised discussions about returning Nigeria to a parliamentary system. Supporters say it would reduce the cost of governance. They say the presidential system is too expensive, too slow, too corrupt. But history forces us to ask a harder question. Why now? Because the last time Nigeria used a parliamentary system, the First Republic collapsed into crisis, military coups, ethnic distrust, and eventually civil war. So why are powerful people suddenly talking about bringing it back? To understand that answer, you have to go back to 1960. And maybe even further back to 1914. The 1960 vs. 1979 mystery. When Nigeria became independent in 1960, it inherited the British parliamentary model, democratic. But in practice, it created dangerous tensions. The Northern People's Congress controlled the largest bloc in parliament because the North had the highest population numbers. That meant political dominance at the federal level became heavily tied to regional population power. The East distrusted the North, the West distrusted both, and every election became a struggle over who controlled the center. By the mid-1960s, the system was already breaking apart. Election rigging, regional violence, emergency rule, political intimidation, the Western region crisis, and finally, January 1966, the coup that ended the First Republic. After years of military rule and civil war, Nigeria abandoned the parliamentary model in 1979 and adopted the American-style presidential system. The idea was simple: force politicians to seek support across the entire country instead of one dominant parliamentary bloc controlling power. That was the theory. But now, decades later, Nigeria is debating whether to return to the old system again. And the timing is raising questions. The photos come out. So why now? Supporters of parliamentary reform argue that Nigeria spends too much money on governance. Too many ministers, too many political offices, too many duplicated structures, and they are not completely wrong. The cost of government in Nigeria is massive, but critics believe something else is happening beneath the surface. Because changing a political system is never only about efficiency, it is also about power. In a presidential system, voters directly choose the president. Candidates must campaign nationally. They need broad support across regions and states. But in a parliamentary system, citizens mainly vote for lawmakers and parties. Then the majority party inside parliament chooses the prime minister. That changes the political math completely. Power moves from the public square to party negotiations. From nationwide campaigns to coalition building inside elite political circles. And that is why many Nigerians are suspicious. Not because parliamentary systems are automatically bad. Countries like the UK, Canada, and India use them successfully. The fear is different. The fear is that Nigeria's political elite may prefer a system where internal party control matters more than direct national popularity. That fear becomes even stronger because Nigerians already distrust the political class. Many people believe elections are influenced long before voting day even arrives. So when constitutional reform appears close to another major election cycle, people naturally ask, is this reform or strategy? MIDI or PSOM interrupt, pause for a second. Forget party politics, forget PDP, forget Labour. Ask yourself one question. If Nigeria changes systems before 2027, who benefits the most? The ordinary voter or the political class that already controls parliament? Because history teaches us something dangerous. Political systems are rarely changed by people who expect to lose power. The London connection. Now connect this to the story we told in The London Mystery. Nigeria's parliamentary system was not originally Nigerian. The First Republic was built using the Westminster model: Prime Minister, Cabinet Government, Parliamentary Majority Rule. And that structure reflected colonial logic. Nigeria was not designed first as a nation built from below. It was managed as an administrative project from above. That is why the constitutional conferences that shaped Nigeria happened in London before independence. The system was negotiated there, structured there, approved there, and now, decades later, Nigeria is discussing returning to the same framework. Again, this does not automatically mean conspiracy, but history creates patterns people cannot ignore. A divided country, a struggling economy, growing distrust in elections, and now renewed interest in a parliamentary structure that centralizes power around party blocks. To some Nigerians, this looks less like reform and more like history repeating itself, especially when foreign investment, international partnerships, and elite negotiations are increasingly shaping political conversations behind closed doors. Because the deeper fear is not only about parliament, the deeper fear is about control. Who controls the state? Who controls the ruling coalition? And who controls the direction of Nigeria after 2027? But here is the most important point. No political system can save a country if trust is broken. Nigeria's real problem is not only presidential versus parliamentary. The real problem is legitimacy. Do citizens trust elections? Do citizens trust institutions? Do citizens trust political parties? Do citizens believe power changes hands fairly? Then changing the structure alone changes nothing. Because history shows that systems fail when people believe the rules are designed to protect elites instead of citizens. The First Republic collapsed partly because regions stopped trusting the federal arrangement. Military rule emerged because politicians stopped trusting elections. And today, many Nigerians are once again questioning whether the political system truly represents them. That is why this debate matters. Because it is not only about constitutions, it is about whether Nigerians still believe the country belongs to them. The payoff of history has a strange habit. It repeats itself, but in new clothes. In 1914, Nigeria was merged for administrative convenience. In 1960, Nigeria in parliamentary structure from Britain. In 1979, Nigeria adopted the presidential system to escape the chaos of the First Republic. And now, in the shadow of 2027, the country is debating whether to return to the system that collapsed before the first military coup. Maybe it is reform, maybe it is political calculation, maybe it is both. But one thing is certain, whenever politicians begin rewriting the rules before an election, citizens should pay attention. So let me ask you directly, do you want Nigerians to continue directly voting for their president? Or would you prefer Parliament choosing the leader instead? Type vote if you believe Nigerians should directly elect the president. Or type TTEP if you believe this reform mainly benefits political elites. Like, share, subscribe to Naija Unfiltered 360. Because here, we do not just follow Nigerian politics, we follow the history behind it.